If you have been following Page and Podium for long, you have no doubt heard me talk about the Memoir Method. The Memoir Method is our signature group program that allows women to come into a supportive environment with training, resources, templates, tips, and accountability and advice so that you can finish your memoir in just 9 months. And in fact, you can probably finish your memoir and get started on the publishing process, which is the most fun and also a great way to get some extra support as you move into that next stage. But what I hear so often is that people are just not sure if they're ready. Often folks have waited either a year, 2 years, sometimes a decade to start this project or to really, work on it in earnest. And so stepping into a program like this, where we're condensing that timeline into just 9 months, can feel a little bit intimidating. So today I want to talk about how to know when you are ready for a group program like the Memoir Method. Stay tuned. In my team's 30 plus years in publishing, we see the same thing over and over. Women do not ask for the help we need. But if you are going to write a memoir that you are truly proud of, you are going to need training, you're going to need accountability, and you're going to need support to make sure that the whole thing is so much fun. And you're in luck because you can head over to the Memoir Method and enroll in our very next group cohort starting next month. Just head over to pageandpodium.com/memoir-method to learn more and apply. So you want to write a memoir. You're just not sure if you're ready for the investment, the time investment, the financial investment, and honestly, just the emotional investment of staking your claim that this is going to be the year you finish. Okay, well, I want to give you 4 questions that you can ask yourself. If all of the answers are yes, you are a shoo-in. Sign up now. If you can only say yes to 3 of 4, you may be good to go, but any fewer than 3, we would suggest that you hold off. And by the way, if it would be helpful to have a really quick personal assessment of whether you are ready, you can head over to pageandpodium.com/TMM-talks, and I will personally get on the phone or Zoom with you for 15 minutes. We can go over your situation, make sure that this is going to be the perfect place for you. But in the meantime, these 4 questions should give you a really good sense of whether this is going to be the right move for you now. Okay, so the first question that I want you to ask yourself is, do I write regularly? Here's the thing. A group program is going to be limited in the amount of actual writing instruction that we can give you. Now, if you've heard much about the program, you know our big thing is structure. We want to really help you get a solid outline. We want to help you break down the steps so that they feel bite-sized and manageable, so you will get plenty of book writing instruction. But if you are not somebody that's comfortable writing, say, an email, a professional social media post, maybe a letter to a friend, this may not be the program for you. And the reason is we need you to be confident enough at a sentence level so that we can push you to make those scenes so vivid, so that we can help you develop natural flowing dialogue, so that we can help you put the structure in that arc so that your readers are turning page after page and they cannot wait to learn what's next. We just cannot do that if you are still trying to figure out kind of how to write a coherent sentence, how to get your thoughts on the page. So the first question is, do you write regularly? Are you comfortable writing? That does not need to be fiction or creative nonfiction. It's fine if you like to write those things. All you need to be able to do is write an email, write a longer form, maybe social media post, blog post is great. If you feel comfortable sitting down and writing something that someone else will see, you are probably ready for this program. The other stuff, the book-specific stuff, that's what we want to get into. So we always want to make sure that you are really comfortable with the mechanical side of writing, because that is when we can push you and get the amazing results that I know you want. So, what do you do if you answered no to that question? No, I don't write regularly. No, I'm not comfortable writing things for other people to read. Well, the solution in this case is pretty simple. What I would say is follow along to this channel. I give you different things to think about and just see what sparks your interest. Are there things where, maybe you hear me talk about somebody else's memoir and you think, oh yeah, I have something just like that. Now's the time. Sit down either at the computer, at your journal, start writing. Just whatever comes out of your brain onto the page, because all writing is getting some experience. We all become better writers when we write more regularly, with or without instruction. So the first thing that you want to do is just kind of flex that muscle, right? Build up a little strength, a little stamina in getting words on the page. And then we can take you from there to an amazing, amazing book. But the first thing you need is to write regularly. Okay, the second thing will not be a surprise. This is one of the most common conversations that I have with folks during those little short TMM Talks conversations. And that is, do you have time to devote to doing the work outside of the group sessions? Now, in the Memoir Method, we have group meetings, group sessions, where anyone who is in the group can come in and ask their question, get a little coaching, get a little advice, hear what either Emily or I have to say about your progress, get some support, whatnot. Those sessions, by the way, happen Tuesdays at noon Central, so you can hop on during your lunch break. And if you're not able to be there, you can always catch the recording later. You can send your question in advance, so it is not even actually necessary that you are in those group sessions to get the benefit of them. But here's the biggest point. Those group sessions will give you advice to keep going. But if you don't have the time to actually do the writing in between, you won't have anything to keep going on. So, how much time do you need to be really successful at the Memoir Method program? Well, the answer is it depends, and apologies, that is one of my very favorite answers. But the answer is it depends. And the reason is people are slower or faster writers. But here is a rule of thumb, just from working with a lot of people over the years. I suggest that you have at least 3 to 5 hours that you can set aside per week to write on your memoir. Now, that might be 1 hour a day for every weekday. That might be 2.5 hours on Saturday, 2.5 hours on Sunday. You might do kind of more of a marathon, maybe like a 3.5 hour on Monday, and then pick up a couple more, half hours, whatever, throughout the week. Whatever works for you. And oftentimes people will kind of figure this out as they go through the program. So you don't necessarily need to know now how you want to approach the writing time. What you do need to know, though, is that you're going to be able to carve out and protect that writing time. Put it on your calendar. Let everybody know to leave you alone. Either get a sitter if you've got kids or send them with your partner or your husband. You are going to need some uninterrupted time. And I love, by the way, to hear about how the women in our programs make this work. I have one of our clients that's a long-term client. She has, we've been working with her for maybe 6-7 months now as a one-on-one. And her favorite thing is to go for a drive. And she will just get in her car and she'll drive around and she'll think about, what is this chapter? How do I want to plan it? And what she says is that writing time? Are you writing during that time? Of course not. But by doing that, by driving around and thinking about it, she is mentally rehearsing what she wants to write. Well, of course then, when she writes it, it goes a lot faster. So she's kind of doing the slow down to speed up thing. I have had people do similar things where they like to hit the hiking trails and really just think during that time. Or you may be somebody that just kind of mechanically can sit down and just start writing and see what comes out. It doesn't matter. We will help you develop this through our weekly accountability forms, as well as any kind of questions or brainstorms you want to get either within the group calls or in the community, whichever. But The important part is you can set that time aside. So, question 2. Do you have time to devote to your memoir? If you do, come join us. Pending, of course, that you have a couple other yeses here. If you don't have time, I am going to talk to you now quickly about boundaries. You know it is one of my very, very favorite things. And here's the reason I think boundaries are so important for this group program. This group program is for women, non-binary folks, and anybody woman identifying. What I have found in myself, in my clients, in my friends, is that we as women, we do not like to set and hold boundaries. There are reasons for this, right? For many years, decades, centuries, and even today, there have been actual physical safety concerns of setting boundaries, right? If you say no to the wrong person, there could be violence, there you could be rejected, you could be alienated. Those are real concerns, and they're in our body, right? Even if we haven't experienced that, just living in this world, you feel that, right? You feel that you're not really allowed to hold your own, especially on a program that is just for you. So what I want you to do, if you don't feel like you have time, is I want you to start practicing holding a boundary. You don't have to do much at first. Try a half hour a week. Block it out on your calendar. I do everything on my calendar. Whether your calendar is a Google calendar, you've got a calendar on the fridge, whatever, block out a half hour that is non-negotiable time for you to think about your story. That's all you have to do. A half an hour, get the kids out of there, get the dogs out of there, and just think. I promise, as you start to just practice taking this time for yourself, it is going to very quickly become clear that you can do more of this. That once you have systems in place, once you have, a sitter in place, or, your kids are a little bit older maybe, and they know their marching orders when you are on your writing, thinking time, you're going to find that people push back less. Because the thing is, once we set a boundary, there will be a little tantrum at first, and I say tantrum, not only kids. There will be a little pushback, but people will get used to it. And every time you set and hold a new boundary, the next one is a little easier, and the next one is a little easier. And before you know it, you are going to feel comfortable carving out 3 to 5 hours for you to do this project you've always wanted to do, for you to do this project that will help other people, that will be a life-changing experience. Okay, so do you have time? Yes, no? If no, I hope you will work on setting some boundaries so that you can join us maybe on the next cohort. Okay, question number 3. Are you open to learning new and sometimes surprising ways of approaching book writing? Now, this one kind of can come out of nowhere for some folks, especially if you are somebody who has been doing these kind of deep dive, rabbit hole dives into Google, trying to learn how to write your memoir yourself. What I find is that sometimes if we have gotten so settled into one particular approach that we read somewhere, or one particular outline structure, it can be very, very difficult when someone suggests something different. But here's the thing. In the Memoir Method, we have specifically defined this program to give you the structural support you need in the easiest way possible. Now, I talk about this a lot, so you may have seen me talk about outlining and structure in other videos. But the thing to keep in mind about structure is there's no badge of honor for making your structure the most complicated structure around, right? The reader usually doesn't even notice. All we need are a few key points in the narrative that do a few key things. That's all you need. And that is why Emily and I sat down and we said, now what are the pieces that everyone needs in a memoir? And what is the simplest, most approachable way that we can help women master these different points? That's all it is. But if you feel resistant in any way to kind of an easier way to do it or a different way to think about it than you've maybe seen before, you might struggle a bit. So if your answer is, yes, I am open-minded, teach me all the things, then we would love for you to join us. If, on the other hand, you do just feel that little bit of resistance, you're just really not sure if it's right, that is a point at which I want you to really kind of step back and think about, where is that resistance coming from? And here's where I find it most often comes from, is a lack of a feeling of self-worth. That's it. Because here's what's usually happening when we are resistant to learning something new, is that we have pinned our self-worth to the idea of doing something the way that we have seen other people do it. What that means is that if we have decided this is the way, we don't really want shortcuts. We don't want tips. We don't want templates, because our self-worth gets so hinged on the idea of following in these great people's footsteps. So I want you to step back, think about what it is you want your memoir to do for you and what it is you want it to do in the world. Now, if your answer to that is, you know what, I want to win literary prizes, I want to become a memoirist, I want to write many, many memoirs, and I want to really craft like experimental approaches and different ways of doing it, I love that for you. That is going to be a really fun, lifelong journey. We really designed the Memoir Method, though, for people who really, they want to write their memoir, their one memoir, and they want to have it done, and they want it to be good without having to spend decades and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to learn how to be a professional writer. You don't need that. You just need a little bit of guidance of what goes where and how to make sure each of those building blocks is really solid and really compelling and engaging. Okay, so are you open? Are you ready to learn some new things, some new ways of looking at some of these ideas about writing your memoir? If yes, come and join us. If no, maybe do a little bit more work. Think about maybe it's not a great fit of a program, or maybe you want to kind of reevaluate if what you've been doing hasn't been working. Either way is totally fine, but that is something you want to think about before you plunge into our program or really any program. Okay. And number 4, and friends, this is a big one. If you are writing a memoir that has any kind of a trauma focus, so something, really hard happened, you overcame it, but it was just really, really difficult for you, I want you to ask yourself, are you healed from the worst of it? Now, I will be the first to say I have lived a lot of trauma in my own life. I am not so sure that we're ever all the way healed. Maybe we are. A lot of times these things are sneaky and they pop back in, and it's just part of it. But the more we adjust and grow and heal, the more able we are to handle when those little waves of grief or waves of pain or panic come up in us. The reason that this is important is that there is nothing like writing a memoir to bring up all that stuff. So if you are if you are still kind of working through some feelings that are kind of raw, if you are feeling some kind of inkling of you want to get revenge, that is a huge red flag, by the way. If you are really finding it difficult to talk about the issue that you want to write about, I would hold off. This one is such an easy piece of advice for me to give because for me, therapy and life coaching has been absolutely life-changing. And we have lots of friends of our program of Page and Podium who are therapists, who are life coaches. Reach out if you're looking for somebody like that, and I will send you their way. But it is pretty important that you take the time you need to process, to grow, to heal as much as you can so that you can approach this project in a really level-headed way where you are not going to end up really regretting some of the things you write, where you are not going to end up struggling through every single chapter because it's just dredging so much up for you. You are going to just have a lot better time if you work on yourself a little bit, work on healing a little bit. And what else is going to happen is that you are going to come away with a way stronger memoir because you're going to have that meaning. And it's the meaning, the lessons, the wisdom that is truly what makes a memoir worth reading. And it's what makes a memoir worth writing. Okay, so last question was, are you mostly healed from any trauma that you want to talk about in the book? If yes, come and join us. If no, let's get to work on that. You deserve it. It is important work that you are going to do. It's going to make you happier, healthier, and everybody around you. Reach out and I can give you a provider referral if you would like. Okay, so is the Memoir Method, are you ready to take the plunge? Ask yourself, 1, do I write regularly? Am I comfortable writing something that is going to be seen by others? Do I feel pretty good about my ability to put a sentence together? Yes or no? And 2, do you have time to devote to writing your chapters between the sessions and the check-ins? I recommend 3 to 5 hours. You might need more, you might need less, but we want to make sure that you have set that time aside so that you are really making the progress I know you want to make in the program. 3, are you open to learning and exploring different ways of writing this memoir that you have maybe not seen in your Google deep dives, in listening to authors talk about their work, that kind of thing? Are you ready to trust our simplified process that has gotten so many people amazing results? And 4th, have you mostly healed from any trauma that you want to talk about in the book? Have you processed the hardest, most raw parts of your story so that you can talk about them without, feeling upset, without that tightened chest or that kind of lump in your throat? Have you been able to move on? Because that is going to be so imperative to not only making the progress you want, but to having an enjoyable time doing it, to really getting that rewarding feeling of diving deep into yourself and learning all these things that you know, these ways that you can trust yourself and these ways that you can love yourself even more. You can tell I get emotional about this. Okay, well, I am so excited to invite you to apply. You can do so at pageandpodium.com/memoir-method. Learn a little bit more. You'll see that bright coral apply button. Send us your info and we will get right back to you within 48 hours and let you know whether you are in or whether we think you might wait a little bit longer to enroll. But one of these days, I cannot wait to see you in there. Sign up now and I will see you next month. In my team's 30 plus years in publishing, we see the same thing over and over. Women do not ask for the help we need. But if you are going to write a memoir that you are truly proud of, you are going to need training. You are going to need accountability to keep your progress on track, and you are going to need support to make sure that the whole thing is so much fun. And now is your chance to enroll in the next cohort of the Memoir Method, the group program designed specifically to help women write and finish their memoirs. Head over to pageandpodium.com/memoir-method to learn more and apply. I can't wait to meet you.